chapter 20, and we're starting. Oh, I'm sorry, we go so late. Okay. So it says chapter 20, and here we go. Vayidaber Hashem el Yoshua lemor. So Hashem said to Joshua, saying, Dabir el bnei Israel lemor. Speak. Everybody has it or not? Yeah. Okay. Speak to the children of Israel, saying, Tenu lachem et arei hamiklat. Give to yourselves, or take for yourselves, prepare for yourselves, the cities of refuge. Asher dibarti aleichem biad Moshe. That I spoke to you via Moshe. So now we're going to hear, and it's interesting that Metzudas David immediately looks at the word prepare for yourself these cities of refuge. What was the city of refuge for, first of all? Let's understand that. What was it for?
For people who had committed a crime. I think it goes back to Cain.
No. Firstly, he would not have been able to go to a city of refuge because he was a murderer. This is accidental homicide.
Yeah.
Okay. Only if I accidentally killed somebody, and by the way, it can't be I didn't mean to. That's what I think that kids always say. I didn't mean to do this. It can't be something like that. It has to be something like I really did that. It was an accident.
In other words, like if you had a fight with somebody and he hit his head and he died from that, that's not an accident. In other words.
That's right. That's not an accident that is an accident, but it's not an accident.
But you said I didn't mean it.
It's not. What I'm saying it's an accident, but it's not an accident that you would be allowed to go to the city of refuge for.
Right.
Because we have degradations in halacha. You have ones, totally you had no control over it. Karov laones, which I didn't have that much control, but I still had some control. Then you have shogeg, karov lamezid, and mezid. So shogeg is what we're looking at. It was an accident. I was chopping down wood. I didn't realize that I was going to hit too hard behind me. I didn't realize it. I'm looking around. I'm not going to start looking for that. The wood hits a person, kills a person. Yeah. So that's what we call it. That I have to run for. I have to get to the city refuge. Karov Lamesh would be what you're talking about. I hit the guy, boom. He dies. Well, I didn't mean to do that. That was not my intent. I don't get to go to, I'm pretty sure I don't get to go to the city refuge. And certainly if I kill a guy, I have in mind premeditated murder. I don't get to go. So it's certain cases, very few cases, to actually get to go to this area Miklat, this city of, by the way, Miklat would be in collection. It's not refuge. Miklat would be the city that collects. So that's how they're calling it the refuge city. Okay? But the Metzudas David says, what does it mean prepare for yourselves? It means lahanatchem, for your benefit. Because what's going to happen is that when the city accepts these people, as it were, is they're going to go to the Levium, and they're going to be learning Torah their whole lives, and is going to get they weren't criminals by choice. Yeah, so they understand. Something was wrong spiritually with them that Hashem had to take care of. So Hashem presented this miklat, the saving grace to them, this refuge. So even though they're imprisoned there until the Kohen Gadol dies, they're imprisoned. Still, it's for your benefit. You're doing this. It's for you.
So I have a question. Going back to Cain, what level was he? Because I heard one rabbi state that he never had seen anyone die before. Did he understand he was killing his brother?
He didn't know how to kill, but yes, he understood what he was doing.
So would he be at the level of murder with intent?
Yeah. That was intent to murder. He just didn't know how to do it. That was the problem. But if he knew how to do it, he would have done it. And if there's going to be different opinions out there, I don't know. But I mean, clearly by what the story is going on, he brings him into the field, sucking from the field. Next thing you know, or whatever he's doing in the field, and next thing you know, he rises up against his brother and kills him. So when God says, "Where's your brother Abel?" Hevel, he says, "I don't know." So that's why everybody says, "Was he telling the truth or not?" Okay, because as you said, nobody else has ever been murdered, because how many people are on this planet? You only have Chava and Adam, the 2 boys and 3 girls. So that's 5, 6, 7 people. You don't even have a minion of people on the planet. So according to that, of course he's never seen anybody kill anybody, or he doesn't know how to kill. But at the same time, he still knows what is right and what is wrong. That's inherent to us, to know what's right and wrong. God. That's why, when it comes to the laws of Bnei Noach, that you don't have to be warned, because it's common sense. And common sense, God didn't have to command us on common sense. He does, but he was saying, those are the laws that you really don't need me for. This is just how to run a society. You can't murder, you can't steal, you can't do certain things. It's common sense. Not serving idols is not common sense, which is why Hashem has to throw that in too. That's the one that's not common sense. Because maybe I would do, what's wrong with serving? I mean, it would make actually sense to serve the sun and the moon and the stars, because they're servants of God. And just as I serve a king, I want to show deference to his servants. Fine, it makes somewhat of a sense. So God has to say no to that. But everything else, I can't steal, I can't do it. All the laws, setting up a just legal system, again, it's not brain surgery. And to do these things. So when it comes to murder, it's something inherent in us that we know we shouldn't do it. And it's only when we get angry that we allow ourselves into such a craziness to do that. By the way, if we would, going on with that, not that I want to get into too much mussy here, but if we would realize what we do when we speak slander against others. And when do we only speak slander, by the way?
When we get mad.
When we get angry at the person. Right? We think we should, well, I'm going to show you what you did. So we speak slander against the person, or we do something mean against the person. And in a regular situation, we would never do that. It's only when we believe we're justified. If you're justified in doing this, then I can do anything. So that's what I'm always. That's the whole point here.
Yeah. That's it. That's your common street crime today. They think they're justified. I've got it coming.
Right. And that's the whole thing. So if society is messed up that much, the only way you're going to fix that up is by having those people who do it by accident, okay, run to the Arya Miklat, be re-educated, brought into our system by the Levium, who are living a life of Torah and showing what should be done. And then if and when they get to come back to society, they have a better chance of living a proper life. Okay, so that's what's going on. So he says, let's continue. It says, Gimel, Lanus Shama Rotzeach, to have the Rotzeach, the murderer, flee there. Ma Kenefesh Bishkaga, again, the murderer, the killer, is the one who kills a person by accident. What does that mean? Beli da'at, without knowledge. Notice he had no knowledge of what's happening. And it would be for them to run to Migo Hadam, from the Redeemer of the blood. Why do we have to have a Redeemer of blood? A relative, by the way, not just a bounty hunter. It must be the relative who is chasing after this person. Why does it have to be the Goel Hadam? Why do we allow for Goel Hadam? Actually, why did God allow for the, not we? Why did God allow for the Goel Hadam, the Redeemer of blood?
Because there's going to be some relative that's going to be angry that his relative got killed accidentally or otherwise. I guess it's going to be this reverse anger, in other words. Right,
so there's going to be that. Fine, so why not just tell that person, hey, somebody's died, deal with it. I mean, God wants that person dead. Calm down. You can't do anything. Why does God allow for this? In part of his justice system. It's an interesting thing.
In other words, the relative is allowed to avenge on his own if he catches the guy not in the city of
right.
Huh.
Does he have to be given authority from like a Beit Din or anything like that?
I forget offhand. I'm not sure. I think Hashem is giving him the authority. Only again. Now think about who this kid. I want to actually let's step back because we have to understand the case. Reuven is driving down the street in his car. He's driving down through. He's not breaking the speed limit. 30 miles an hour down the street. Somebody jumps him. And suddenly the telephone rings. He tries to get his telephone. Okay, took his eyes off the road for a second. He was traveling, which of course was wrong. It was wrong. All right, it was wrong, but fine. Somebody jumps in front of his car.
Somebody that's running out a bush and no chance.
No. That'll be ones. That'll be ones. That's why I had to make it so he's a little bit responsible. Okay. A little bit. Okay. So somebody jumps. Somebody walks out. Boom! Hits him. As the aggrieved family, are you really going to be so angry at the one who hit the person? Can you really say you tried to do it? As compared to the guy who rapes or murders. There's a much different anger going on. Yeah, you say, why do you have to go on the telephone? Okay, but we all do it. We all do it. Let's face it, we all have our minds off it. We all look at something on the side of the road every once in a while. It's not abnormal. It's actually quite normal. You're bored looking straight ahead. Unless there's a lot of traffic where you're really looking. If you're an empty road like here, you don't look around. You see something on the side, you look really quickly. You're always going to look back. You don't have a mind. God forbid somebody does something like that and an accident happens. I cannot believe for the life of me that family is going to go out and say, I'm going to kill you now. Yeah. No. It's okay, it happens. That's the normal response.
Well, that's today. What about way back?
But I'm saying that's the normal response of a person. If it's an accident, if it's really an accident, I didn't know the person. I had no idea what was going on. You were just in the field with me, whatever. Maybe I did know you, but you were my friend and something happens. The Goel Hadam would have no reason to chase me. It's not like I murdered you. If I murdered you, then it's over. Anybody can get me.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. In this case of Goel Hadam, it's a very specific case. And that's why the Torah and in Joshua, we keep emphasizing the same thing. You killed somebody unwittingly. You had no intent whatsoever. So you have to go. Not only do you have to go, but this Goel Hadam, this relative, has the right to enforce the law if you leave and kill you. Not that he even wants to, but he has the right to do it. In other words, you need to be afraid, very afraid, that if you don't follow what we're doing, even though it was a mistake, and because it was a mistake, you need to have a spiritual repair. And we're telling you that. God's telling you that, so you have to do it.
The accidental murderer, is he liable to a Beit Din at all?
You mean does he have to go to the Beit Din?
Yeah.
Yes, of course. The Beit Din, he has to go to the Beit Din, he has to stand trial, and the trial has to show that he was unwitting in this. If they do, then he goes. If he doesn't, then he's lost. He gets, then he's murdered.
If he flees right away, even though it was accidental, he flees because he fears what?
He fears the Goel Hadam. He's fearing everything at that point. He's afraid. So let me get to my home base, like the game of tag. You have to touch home before, so you can be a little free. But it's remember tag.
Everybody he's obligated to stay on trial though first.
So they'll bring him to trial. They'll go to the city of refuge, bring him to trial, so on and so forth. But until they
make a determination that he had no intention.
Right.
Okay.
But even once they do, he doesn't go home.
He's still got to go.
He stays at the city of refuge.
Yeah.
And then then the Goel Hadam, by the way, can't kill him.
Right.
Once he's considered guilty and he's in the city of refuge, then you can't.
He's on base. He's untouchable.
He's untouchable.
So let me see if I understand the purpose of this. To go back to your question. Is it to allow justice, in effect, life for life, but providing a provision for Hashem to protect the offender?
Say it again, please.
Is the purpose of the Goel Hadam to provide justice, i.e., life for life, with the additional provision that God protects the offender by having the city of refuge? If he reaches the city of refuge,
I believe I would agree with that. I believe I would agree. So I'll just say it my way, and then you'll see if you agree with what I'm thinking.
Okay.
I'm understanding you to say. Okay. The Goel Hadam is there to enforce that people don't murder and say it was an accident. That's what he's there for.
Mm-hmm.
The rabbi's there to enforce also the same sort of thing. In other words, he has to go through a trial. And he has to show that we have to really prove that it was an accident. If it was an accident, then the Era Miklat becomes the spiritual renewal center, for lack of better terms, where he's learning what the Torah wants from him, and he's realizing there was a spiritual defect in the system. On the other hand, and I can't overemphasize this, if he is found guilty of murder, then he will be killed by the courts.
And if it was totally accident where the guy jumps out behind a bush, there's no chance whatsoever.
Then he doesn't.
There's no authorization for a Goel Hadam.
Correct, and he doesn't go to the city of refuge. He just goes home.
Yep.
Correct. So that's to say, it's a very specific case that we're dealing with. The guy had some spiritual defect, that he wasn't being careful with something. And now what Hashem does is he sets it up in such a way that the Goel Hadam has permission from God to kill this person, because once the person does not follow the law again and leaves the city of refuge thinking, well, I was proven innocent per se by the court. It's just you got me a technicality. No, it's not a technicality. You did something wrong.
Something careless, in other words.
Right, you were careless in this. Even though, again, you didn't have it in mind to do it, but it was your carelessness that did it. Therefore, you need to have some spiritual repair. And if you don't recognize that, well, you will die, and let the death be your expiation. So, is that what you were saying?
We're coming at it in a different way, but yes.
Okay, so that's what I said. If that's what you're saying, I agree. Okay. I just want the audience to hear both views at that point.
And
I know that millions of people who are listening to this.
You're differentiating between murder and manslaughter.
Yes.
Negligent homicide.
100%. That's what I'm saying. In Judaism, we have 5 levels. In halacha, you have 5 levels. It's not just either he did or he didn't. You have 5 levels. 1, totally accidental, totally out of my control. Then it's somewhat out of my control, but really not, but more on the other side. Then you have our case, shogeg, which is, it was just ultimately, I guess it is my fault, because I could have been more careful. And then you have the other side, which is, I'm karav lamezid. I knew what was going on, and I still did it. I'm driving on a highway, have my texting. Good. As compared to on the telephone, I have my earphone. What's it called? Bluetooth. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
So I have the Bluetooth. If I have the Bluetooth, I'm not handheld. I should be pretty good. Okay. Or if I have something in my car, they used to have the car phones. The old car phones, the big phones in the car, where they had a speaker. Okay. And the roaming charges, they were rich people. But there, your mind is not on everything, granted, but that's more the accidental. But if I'm texting while I'm driving,
you're looking down here.
Then now we've walked into Karov Lamezid. I knew what I could be doing. That's really dangerous. And so now, and amazing. So then you have I did on purpose. Premeditated. So, like I said, but that's what I'm saying. You have gradations in Jewish law. It's not just black and white. There's no such thing as black and white. So you have to know, the court has to determine where everything is holding there. Okay? It's very important to recognize that. Just as we do in American law. The only difference is from American, well, not the only, but one of the major differences between American law and Jewish law is we don't have a jury of peers in Jewish law. It's the rabbis have to hear, you can't have lawyers. This is what happened. The rabbis, the court, who is well schooled and given ordination for that, they have to be given permission to rule in that situation. They know all what to ask and so on and so forth. They ask the questions and they determine the truth from that. And of course, they're hopefully they get it right.
They're advocating for pure justice.
Right.
You don't have an advocate for this guy or this
They're
guy.
advocating for pure truth.
Truth.
Not justice.
Truth. Yeah.
Not justice. I want to make that clear. It's
They want
for
the
truth.
outside.
They want truth. Because justice is not. Nobody's going to feel justice.
Justice could be subjective. Huh?
Right. That's all. I want truth. I want the truth. Yeah. What really happened?
What happened?
That's all. And from what happened, I know how to apply the law.
As opposed to a prosecutor and a defender.
Correct.
Prosecutor, he's trying to convict this guy any little thing, and the defender's going to try to get him off for any of those.
Correct. So that's really what the Beitin is looking for. We don't have a jury system. No such thing as the baker and a candlestick maker can make a decision like that. We have to really know what's going on. I mean, there's rules within that too as to how we determine what the murder sentence is and so on and so
Well,
on.
I guess the jury system is the two attorneys will explain, I guess, legally what from their viewpoint what's going on, and the judge will clarify. And so that's a case where, I mean, when it goes to a jury, it's not clear cut.
I don't want to get so far afield, but
Yeah.
the reason when I had to do jury duty, so the reason they gave us, or they Baruch Hashem dismissed us, but they said you because we waste a whole day.
Yeah.
You're literally wasting a whole day
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
If you're not on trial, if you're not in trial, then you waste 3 weeks of your life.
Yeah.
But it's if you're sitting there and they don't call you, before they dismiss you, they say, we want to thank you for your service. Because you were here, you were our ultimate threat to the person on trial. Mm-hmm. Because the question that you have to ask yourself as the person on trial is, do I want to put my fate into the hand of 12 people? Or do I really want to just go with the lawyers, let them make a nice compromise, pshora? I think that's probably the word you're looking for. Pshora, the compromise, and that's it. So most people settle out of court.
But when they call it, was yours a civil or criminal?
Mine was civil.
So they made a settlement.
Yeah, they settle because they don't want to go to a jury because it can cost them more. Juries are notorious for that. You're a rich guy, $30 million. We don't care if you're innocent or guilty.
No, exactly.
You know, or all the other way. You're black, guilty.
Yeah.
If you have an all-white jury,
But then it's not peers. That's the American system would put blacks.
but they have it. You see it many times where it's not a mixed jury. It's all white juries. And so that's why if it's all black juries, by the way, it goes the other way.
Theoretically, it shouldn't.
It shouldn't be. You're right, it shouldn't be. But that's what I'm saying. The jury system was set up really to scare the guys into let's settle this. Let's settle. We don't want to give our lives into. We'd rather deal with the judges because the judges they know what the halacha, they know what the American law is. Well, at least they should. Yeah. And so the lawyers know, and there's no audience that they can play to. But when it came to like the jury of what's his name, the football player, O.J. Simpson, that was ridiculous. I mean, they turned that into a circus.
Yeah.
Jury nullification.
Yeah. That's the same.
That's a major difference between American law and Jewish law.
We don't have it. We don't have it.
Now, have you ever sat on a Beit Din?
I have sat with a Beit Din, but not on a Beit Din. I avoid the Beit Din.
Theoretically, if you're familiar with law, if you're a lawyer or a police officer, or in some way involved in jurisprudence, you're not supposed to be on a jury.
Huh.
Because they don't want people on the jury who are familiar with the law.
Really?
They want people on the jury who are familiar with the case and are peers with whoever's being tried.
Again, that's only if you go to a jury. You have to look for a jury.
Right, exactly.
So we don't
So
have
that's
that.
a big difference between the way Judaism looks at crime.
Again, we're looking for the
way-
truth.
Right.
We want the truth
Big difference.
because we have to know what we're not in an adversarial system here. We're saying, okay, remember, there's no judges. I mean, there's no lawyers. It's the guy comes and tells me what he did. You said this, you said this. Okay, so let's figure out what happened. I asked you a question here, I asked you a question there. Whatever the question is, we adjudicate, we get it, we know what the halacha is. And
Let's say in a civil case, so you have two litigants, and they're each going to bring their own witnesses to try to support that they're correct on their contractual on whatever the litigation is, and then the judges of the base din, they have to decide who's telling the truth. So it's almost.
But it's the judges.
You're right.
But so the judges,
they know what the law
but
is.
the judges also know what evidence is acceptable.
In
So I have
terms
to
of what
know,
witness may
right?
be
What's the evidence? What am I looking at? And so that's something else. In other words, if I know what the laws of the evidentiary rules and so on and so forth, so I know what I need to know, and then I can make that judgment. And hopefully we'll make the right judgment. Nobody's going to sit and tell me that the Bati Din today, God is sitting with them and making sure they get everything right. I mean, people get things wrong. But the hope is, what we've learned a long time ago, and this is in Jewish law and every other law, there's your story, there's his story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yeah.
And that's why it says, when the litigants come before you, you have to see them both as wicked. Unlike American law, where the guy is innocent until proven guilty.
Yeah, that's right.
Innocent. They're guilty until proven innocent for us. In other words, you're coming to us. If you were so innocent, you would have figured it out what you owe. And you would have come to an agreement. What are you coming to me for? The fact of the matter is you're both liars. And you just convince yourself so much you're not a liar that you're really sick. So we had to figure out what's really going on. Because nobody is 100% right. So again, that's why we normally come to Peshora. We normally come to a compromise decision where nobody's ever happy. So what happens is, if they go on and accept our decision, we consider them tzaddikim. Now you're righteous. On the other hand, if they don't accept our decision, you're still Rishayim. You're still wicked. And that's what the appeals, and we don't, give me one with appeals.
Wow.
There's no appeal for us.
No plea bargaining?
What's a plea bargain?
That's where you go to, you plead guilty to a lesser crime to avoid being punished for the crime that you're really.
We're not allowed to do that. That's by the way, if you want to do that plea bargaining bit, that's before the trial. In other words, before you get in front of the judges, you go to the guy and say, "Look, you say I owe you this. I say I owe you this. Let's compromise." We're more than happy to let you compromise. But once you come to us and we render a decision,
that's
game over. Game over. There's no plea bargaining.
There's no next
Sorry?
level.
The concept of truth.
Correct.
Once it starts.
Correct. No. Until we decide, you can always compromise. Walk away. We'll be your best friends. But once we decide, game over. Then you have to pay. Whatever the decision is, you have to pay. And there's no yelling. Leave me alone. You came to us. You told us what your case is. This is our decision based upon what you told us.
Right.
You want to now come and say, "Wait, I have another piece of evidence." Great. I'm happy to hear it.
It's too bad. Too late.
It's you can't. There's no such thing as you have new evidence. Where was before?
There's no appeal process after.
Not really. I mean, you can't sue for the same thing twice. What's appeal in American law? Okay, that's the end of this class. Really, I have to go. But